Good morning, everyone. So, since I always forget, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below too. Everything you do like that helps the channel grow. I want to get right into it. Last week, I forgot to announce the announcement that we had 3 major announcements last week. I was supposed to do it in the beginning of the video. I forgot, so it was at the end. I know a lot of people don't make it to the end of the videos. I will say those 3 big announcements. 1, we now are able to take text messaging. So all you got to do is text message 708-599-5884. You can schedule appointments. You can get updates on your online order or the updates on your project in the shop. What I will just say, friendly reminder, it's not a free technical hotline. The other big announcement was we are switching over to, we're doing digital diagnostic invoices, estimates. What that basically means is when your car comes in and we see something wrong with it, we take a video of it, we're gonna send you a link, you're gonna be able to watch those videos and see what we're seeing so you get a better idea. The other big announcement was we now do burble tunes. It's been a long time. We've been asked millions of times, it seems like. We now offer burble tunes, pops and bangs, whatever you like to call it. There is a little bit of disclaimer that you will be given though, because burble tunes are not great for your engine. Let's get into this video really quickly. Basically, it's going to be a 2-part segment. First part, you're going to see a dyno ready car that was supposed to be on the dyno that day. You're going to see the frustration. I don't know what else to say besides, well, you'll see. Just take a look. The other part, the second part of the video, you're going to see a car that is on the dyno and went really well. I'm going to show you some dyno sheet stuff, going to talk about efficiency and get into it a little bit. I will say too, it's been very hot this week, so you're going to see that in the video, but let's get right to it. Thanks for watching. Okay, so a really quick intro to this clip, because what ultimately happened was I wasn't going to take any videos today, and then this car came in, so I basically started recording. I didn't record like an intro, so let me tell you what happened. We went in to start the car, and as I went in to start the car, I had my laptop hooked up to K-Pro. I noticed when it was cranking, the map sensor, I believe, was reading, 14 PSI. So right off the bat, of course, your car's not going to be making 14 PSI while it's cranking. Spoke to the customer. Basically, we asked him, hey, where was the map sensor? There was no map sensor on the car. He explained, he said it was weird. He said it must have been there. It must have fell off when he was towing the car. I asked him, I said, hey, well, where did the map sensor, where did it bolt up to? He said the throttle body, which at that point, we explained to him, there's no spot on this throttle body for a map sensor. And then he said, I think it was like, oh yeah. I have another clip I'm going to put in too. There's going to be no voice on it. You're just going to see a loose vacuum hose. I was documented for the customer. But what you're also going to see is the AN fittings, instead of actually being assembled, and they are typical AN fittings, so they're not the push lock kind. Instead of them being assembled, they're just clamped. So I'm going to insert that too because I wanted to show you guys. But anyways, going back to it, no map sensor on the car. Also, if you've watched my videos, the one way to test to see if you're connected to K-Pro, S300, Flash Pro, you can simply hit the throttle, the pedal, and you'll see the TPS move. The TPS wasn't also moving. He had the TPS and the map wire switched around. Still had no map sensor, and the map sensor connector was actually zip tied basically to the trans. So you be the judge on everything in this video. I want you to open up your mind, see what we're dealing with on a daily occurrence sometimes, and you'll understand why frustration kicked in. So when I messaged the customer originally, he was stating that the car ran before it got here. The map sensor just must have fell off. Well, he towed the car here, and here's the problem. As I told him, I asked him where did you have the map sensor hooked up at? He said on the throttle body. There's no spot on the throttle body for it. It has the IACV block off, and then it has the port for coolant on the bottom, but there's no spot for it. So I messaged him back and I said, there's no spot on the throttle body. And then he said, oh yeah, that's right. I got the throttle body without the spot for it. So he gave us okay to hook up a map sensor, but I just don't understand. And he states that it was running beforehand. Well, the other thing that I'll mention, when you go inside the tune and you step on the throttle, there's no TPS reading. And on top of that, the map sensor is reading a continuous 9 PSI while you're trying to crank the engine. So I'm gonna say, if I turn this camera around again, I'm gonna just say that this is the TPS wire, and we should swap them around, as this one should be the map sensor plug, which I don't know. I'm gonna switch these around. I'll be back. Give me a second. So the TPS and the map wires were switched, like I said. The car still doesn't want to start. I pulled the plugs out. We asked the customer, you know, what plugs are in here. Are they new? He said they were new. You tell me. Those don't look really new to me. I'll also add too, as I'm sitting here, stuff like this is why we have a dyno checklist. Now, we have all the info out there for you guys. If you don't want to follow it, that's fine. That's on you guys. I'm a little bit lost for words here, and I want to say the right stuff here. So I'm gonna throw some new plugs in here, and I'm gonna take the rest of the plugs out. Actually, I'll be right back. So we got the plugs out, and they're all not only fouled out, very a lot of carbon buildup, which is a sign of oil burning. So putting the new plugs in right now, gonna see if it wants to fire up, and go from there. Be quick and not rant here, but you know, all I can say is, you know, we're told one thing. Sometimes it doesn't seem always correct. This car supposedly ran just the night before. You see what I'm seeing. And I will say this, what makes it more frustrating is I preach how this stuff doesn't have to happen on dyno day. We have dyno checklists in place that we give away for free. We have a digital link to it. I mean, if you're on YouTube right now, go to YouTube and type in RC Auto Works dyno checklist. You'll see a video we did. That's what makes it more so frustrating. Now I will say this too, because I hear customers every now and then, you know, joking around saying, you know, I don't want that to happen to my car. As long as you follow everything and or ask us questions, we're here to help. We are. So that's the other thing too. If this guy would have sent the data log and said, hey, can you just look this over, make sure I'm good to go, which customers do, hats off to those customers. You know, let's, it's not everybody that, you know, brings me stuff that's kind of unprepared in a sense, or whatever you want to call it. Send a data log, it'd take me 2 seconds, and I'd say, hey, no, look, this is why your car's not running correct. You know, it is what it is. As I say in my videos, I'm trying to show you guys the stuff you normally don't see. You know, a lot of people think this is a dream job. Don't get me wrong, it is. I love it. But some of this stuff that we see on a daily basis doesn't have to happen. That's where I'll leave it at that. So we're gonna get the map sensor hooked up. He gave us, you know, like I said, the go ahead. We're gonna probably tap into one of the vacuum ports to make life easier. This intake manifold, there's really no spots that are easily accessible in a sense. And I'll also add the K-tune throttle body as well. There's no mounting point, which that's the other thing I always tell, or you know and I also see it a lot on the internet. Before you order parts, ask your tuner. We'll tell you right off the bat. go with this throttle body because of this reason. Go with this throttle body because of that reason. Don't run this throttle body because such and such. You know, we do this day in and day out. We've been doing it for 25, 26 years going on. We have experience. We can help you, and you can ultimately make our lives easier in that sense. So let's get back to business. So, good morning. Again, if I already said it in this video. It's the next day. We're gonna go to this car now. The other car, we hooked up the map sensor. We got it fired, we got it running, but it's got a misfire. So, I gotta shift gears. I've said it before in my other videos. We're on a super tight schedule. We're a very, very busy shop. And as I said, I don't even know if I said it in this video, but I'll add something really quick too about this heat. Going back, we have guys that are scheduled months in advance, either for work or dyno tuning. As I said before, when you show up and a car is supposedly dyno ready and it goes in that slot and you have a problem like I showed you, well, then we have to not only not put it on the dyno, we have to switch in to try to diagnose it, which at times now that car is going to sit for maybe a day or two before I can jump back on it, depending on a lot of things, which I will go back and say. As I was going to mention, it is super hot this week. We are still early in the morning, and we're seeing temps as early as 95 degrees. I'll show you, too, how hot it's going to get in the dyno area. Easily going to see triple digits on the dyno. But going back to this one, I featured this one in the last video. It's the Civic SI that we did a lot of the turbo stuff on. Talked about how it had the digi distributor and that stuff. He's not looking for a bunch of power. Ultimately, and I don't want to, you know, this, I personally feel it kind of crosses the line if I get too detailed. I'm going to say it's a very, very, very conservative power level. Right now, he's on a 4-pound spring. So ultimately, I'm going to see what this 4 pounds wants to bring us. And if we get to a point where we're a little low on power still, even though he has a low goal, we're going to give him an option and ask him if he wants a boost controller installed. I will say, even if you're low on power, or I should rephrase that, even if you want a low power number, there is still stuff that comes into the equation of efficiency. One thing I want you guys to think about is what would happen if you have a top mount, 3-inch downpipe, but you have a little bit smaller diameter exhaust. I'm going to show you guys a little bit on the dyno sheet side, do some pulls here. I'm going to get into it. Now the dyno sheet power graph looks a little bit rough, and let me explain to you guys some stuff. So right here you see VTEC is engaging. We're to a point where you see where it starts to dip off. It's where you want VTEC to hit. Now when VTEC kicks over, you see the jump of power, but you see how it kind of almost plateaus, goes down a little bit right here, then goes up, and then we got another going down. This comes down to efficiency. Now, let me add some other stuff here. And before I get off this, look at the temperature we're dealing with right now. 104 degrees on the dyno. We're, I want to say, halfway done with the tune. We got a little bit more, depending on how many times I got to up the boost a little bit here and there. So keep that in mind. Okay, so as I forgot my tripod, doing everything by hand or holding the phone on certain objects here, so I'm going to do my best to stabilize it. What I was saying is you got to keep in mind how hot it is. Not only how hot, the humidity, all that's going to play a factor here. As things get colder, outside, atmosphere, weather, boost is going to want to increase more. Denser air, more boost. Go Google that. As I said in my other videos, I'm not going to spend hours into that. If you're really, really interested in this stuff and you want to start learning how to do stuff yourself, when I tell you to go Google stuff, go understand what I'm saying more so. What I'll add is I want to up the boost just a little bit more. We're going to be right where he wants power-wise, or so I hope. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit that with the temperature is, where we're at right now. It is hot. If you can't tell, I'm sweating just sitting here. So imagine what the engine and the boost and all that fun stuff is also feeling. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention is, could he go with a bigger exhaust? Yes. If you notice during the pull though, this car, I would call it a sleeper. You're barely going to know that it's boosted. It's not super loud. It's going to be fun to drive if he has to drive it every single day to work. If he's got a passenger in the car, he can hear them talking and they can hear him talking. So the question always goes is, how far do you want to go with the car? You know, he's not out for every last drop of horsepower. He doesn't want a crazy number. That all comes, you know, that's all part of the build. You know, we get a bunch of guys that they'll want 500 horsepower, but they want the car quiet as well. Some stuff you have to pick and choose. So that's what it is. I'm going to up the boost a little bit, come back, tell you guys where I'm at. So this video is a wrap, and I wanted to get a final video, of course, with the car behind me and talk about it a little bit more. But I'm going to say that the heat got to me a little bit too much. I'm normally good at staying hydrated and being on top of it. This time I will say, in fact, that I was not. So I was feeling a little sick at the end of the video, so I decided just to skip out and get the car off the dyno. Ultimately, the customer picked it up. He was very happy. We made a little bit more power, but it was getting to a point too where the heat was just playing a big factor. When the customer picked it up, I went over a couple things with him. I spoke to him about if he wanted more power. Ultimately, yes, you can raise the boost levels and make a little more power, but if you watch my videos, you'll hear me repeat a lot, efficiency. So what I recommended and I told him to do is, hey, if you want some more power, maybe look into a Type R cam, an intake manifold, and maybe a bigger exhaust. But as I was saying too in this video, and I don't want any confusion out there, this car is still going to be pretty quiet on a 3-inch exhaust. The turbo almost acts like a secondary muffler, but that still goes without saying. At what point do you want to get rid of the comfort factor? You can see in a couple pulls, the car is very quiet. Yes, in one of the pulls, it seems like it's maybe a little bit louder, but you also have to remember it's in an enclosed environment. Besides that, as I was telling him, if you do such and such modification as far as like the camshaft, the intake manifold, I told him how much more power he would jump up, staying at the same amount of boost. And the goal is, you're always supposed to consider and think about how to make the engine setup the most efficiently possible way that you can without the power adder, being the turbo, on the vehicle. Because if you make it efficient thinking about without that stuff, he's going to make more power on the same PSI, which means less stress on the engine, which increases the longevity. It's going to be a fun street car. It's just going to come down to basically if he's going to get bored of it. Besides that, you know, it's really nice to see people with goals that aren't 800 horsepower on a street car, 700 horsepower in a street car, and then worry about traction. So ultimately, that's everything wrapped up. And I will add, because I talked about it earlier about the exhaust and whatnot, you can still make power with certain limitations in a sense, but like I just said, it's about efficiency. We want to take the stress off the engine. As far as the first portion of the video, you can probably, like I said, see my frustration. I don't know what else to say. You know, as I said, I put the info out there. You can judge for yourself if the car ran the day beforehand. It is what it is. If we get to it and diagnose it, I will keep on covering the videos. It's just a matter of time. Like I said, we got to throw it in our rotation now. And, you know, we're very, very humble, nice working people here. If you feel like your car's not ready for the dyno, reach out to us and tell us. If you paid for a dyno tune and you schedule the date, if you need to cancel for whatever reason, just let us know. But be courteous about it. Try to give us a 24-hour, preferably 48-hour window so we can take your time slot and insert another car that can be in there so we can keep the dyno rolling. Besides that, like I said, hope you guys liked it. I tried not to rant as much. I keep it to the end just because I don't know if a lot of people get to the end anyways. And if you watch this Sunday morning, hopefully you had a good Sunday morning with me. Take care, everybody.